So we can feel a range of emotions after a breakup. Losing this person out your life, this constant who's been there for however long, it triggers all sorts of feelings. Feelings of loss, impending doom, fear, panic. A lot of these feelings are being led by anxiety. This anxiety that you've just lost this person out your life and how are you going to cope without them? You don't want to cope without them. How can life ever feel good again? Well, I want to give you some quick tips on how you can manage those anxiety-fueled feelings that you're getting. I'm going to break down exactly why you're feeling the way you're feeling and some real practical ways that you can manage them. Just sit for a second, close your eyes and think about your ex. What emotions come to mind when you do that? Did you get that weird feeling in the pit of your stomach, like something's turned over? That's anxiety. And thoughts of your ex are triggering it. And it's that anxiety that's leading you to be ruminating over them, to be living in this constant state of panic, the feeling of dread. And it often leads to irrational thoughts and irrational actions, like thinking of ways to win them back, or watching videos on the no contact rule, or even bombarding them with texts and phone calls or letters. Or the opposite, and becoming a real recluse, locking yourself away from the world, and basically living your life inside your own head, replaying scenes from your relationship or dreaming of how things could rekindle. For me, that anxiety would really affect me physically because it was emanating from my stomach and I found it really difficult to eat. I could go days where I just lived off nothing but water and cigarettes. I'd have bundles of nervous energy. Sometimes I'd just be pacing around my house just thinking. Other days it's like I had no energy at all, like the world had come crashing down around me. So I just lay there, empty. But all of this was coming from anxiety. But why? What's actually going on here? Well, let's imagine you're about to leave for a really important meeting, or say a job interview. And just as you're leaving, you can't find your car keys. What happens? Panic sets in, right? You frantically run around the house trying to find them, turning everything upside down. The only thing you can think of in that moment is where your keys are. You retrace your steps. Where did they have them last? You picture yourself having them in your hands. Where the hell did I put those keys? Until eventually you find them and it's panic over. In that scenario, it's pretty obvious why you're panicking, right? Because what would be the result if you didn't find your keys? Your brain knows that, right? That's why panic kicked in. That's why anxiety kicked in. That's why your brain flooded you with images of you holding your keys, trying to help you get what you need. It knows what the outcome would be if you didn't find them. It's a threat to your well-being. So when you just closed your eyes and thought your ex and you felt those sensations, what's your brain telling you the outcome's going to be for not getting them back? Because whatever that story is, whatever that outcome is that your brain's imagining in, it sees it as a threat to your well-being. And that's why it's causing the anxiety and everything. All those crappy feelings that you're getting are stemming from that. Now I'm going to give you some practical tips in dealing with it and how you can start reducing that anxiety, which will then reduce all the other stuff that you're feeling. But let's just work out for a second. Why is that anxiety there? Why is your brain seeing losing your ex as such a threat to your very existence? Because here's the truth, right? Your brain isn't reacting to the loss of your ex. It's reacting to the story that you've attached to that loss. So maybe that story is, they were the only ones who truly understood me. Or if they didn't want me, maybe I'm not lovable. Or even, they were my one chance at real happiness and now it's gone. But all these stories have something in common. They all place you in some kind of danger. You're not safe now that your ex is gone. And that's really powerful. And the scariest part is, most of the time, you won't even be fully aware that you're telling them. They're running silently in the background. They're fueling your anxiety, they're feeding your panic, and they're making you feel like your world has collapsed. But they're just stories, not truths. Stories born from pain, fear, and a desperate need to make sense of why something so important slipped through your fingers. Your brain's trying to protect you. It sees these stories as survival. It's saying, if this person meant safety and love and connection, and now they're gone, then we must be in danger. That's why your body reacts like it's under threat. It's why your chest gets tight, your stomach turns, and your thoughts start spinning. But just like the lost car keys, your panic is based on a belief that you're about to lose something vital. So now the question becomes, is that belief true? Well, let's look at it like this. You were on a life path with your ex, right? You could see the path ahead, you knew your future, it was full of love and laughter and safety, and you had all these plans and everything was going to be okay. But what's happened now is your ex has jumped off that path and gone in their own direction. And it's left you alone. Alone on a path in which you can't see ahead. Because what was ahead no longer exists because they're gone. So of course you're going to feel fear. You can't see ahead anymore, and that's scary. And what's happening is your brain is recognising how you're currently feeling. Lost, alone, unhappy. And it thinks that's in your future because it can't see it. And that is a direct threat to you. So your brain is in constant fight or flight. So what do? Well, in other videos, I've talked about how you can change the path that you're on. Start seeing a future that isn't scary and actually excites you. Because when you do, your brain stops being in fight or flight mode. Your anxiety reduces and you start to feel normal again. But until you get to that point, how can you deal with the anxiety in the meantime? By the way, let me know in the comments what's the main emotions that you've been feeling since your breakup and how long have you been trying to cope with them? Any strategies of your own that you want to share, put them in the comments. You never know, might just help somebody else. So look, I'm a big believer in all the usual stuff that you do for anxiety. Box breathing, meditation, journaling, walks, etc. But today, I want to give you something slightly different. So the first one is, give your breakup anxiety a name and talk to it like a person. Now it sounds weird, I know, but stay with me. You see, when your anxiety kicks in, you're not thinking clearly because your emotional brain has hijacked your systems. So instead of trying to push through it, give it a name. Call it something stupid if you want, like Alan or Nervous Nigel or the Panicker. Then when the tight feeling shows up in your chest or your gut, say something like, all right, Nigel, I see ya. I know you're trying to keep me safe, but I've got this. It creates distance and it stops the spiral. It reminds you that anxiety is a visitor, it's not your identity, that it's not forever. It's just something that you're experiencing now, but it won't last. Remember, you're on that path where you can't see ahead, so your brain thinks how you're feeling now will be your future, but it won't. And your anxiety, and whatever name you want to give it, will disappear eventually. Number 2, change your environment in a completely irrational way on purpose. When you're stuck in breakup anxiety, your environment starts reinforcing how you feel. And you end up with something called the power of association. This is where your brain associates your environment with feeling a certain way. So if you've been feeling this breakup pain for a while and you've been feeling it in the same environment, you need to change something. Something in your room. Move a piece of furniture, turn your bed around, hang your mirror upside down or wear your clothes backwards for an hour. Why? Because your brain goes, wait, something's different. And suddenly you're not replaying the same emotional patterns or loop. I know it sounds silly, but it disrupts the autopilot. It gives your nervous system a new signal that, hey, maybe we're not stuck anymore. And number 3, ask yourself, what would I do right now if I wasn't anxious? Now this one changed everything for me. See, I used to wait for anxiety to go away before I did anything. But rather than waiting, what if instead I asked myself, what would calm, confident me do in this exact situation? And then just do it. Even just 10%. So it might be going out for a walk, going to visit a friend, going to the cinema, or attending a group that you used to go to. But by doing it, even though your anxious brain is saying don't, it shifts the power. You stop following the anxiety and you start leading it instead. Now look, none of these are magic. They don't erase the pain, but they can give you back a bit of control. And if you combine these with some of the standard self-esteem stuff like connecting to people or getting out on walks, then they will have an impact. And when you're in the middle of an emotional storm, that's everything. You see, these are coping strategies to help with the anxiety while you're doing the deeper work. And in plenty of other videos, I go into detail about that deeper work. So if you're not yet a subscriber, then consider hitting that button, especially if you're going through a breakup or you're struggling with your self-esteem. I know right now you can't think about getting over your ex, but I'm here to tell you that you can, and I'm happy to show you how. So in summary then, give your anxiety a name and acknowledge it when it comes, and recognise it is just a visitor, it's not going to be there forever. Number 2, change something in your environment. Change the way your furniture is, change the way your bed is, change the pictures on your walls, just change something to break that power of association. And number 3, ask yourself, what would you do right now if you wasn't anxious? Where would you go? What actions would you take? Who would you hang about with? And then go and do them. Don't let the anxiety win. I hope you find this video useful. If you're going through a difficult time right now, whether it's through a breakup or just general self-esteem stuff, then I've got videos coming out every Sunday and every Wednesday on all of that stuff. So make sure you subscribe. But for now, nice one for watching, and I'll see you in the next. Laters.